Need a few more swigs. Forget about the wisdom level. We're not even at room temperature. It is certainly historically the case that the custom of drinking tea was introduced from China into Japan in association with Zen. And it was the Song Dynasty style of making tea, which is the powdered tea that's in with macha in the Japanese pronunciation. That came in with the initial introduction of Zen at that same period that I was talking about in Japan in the 12th, 13th century and so forth. However, China had tea prior to that, and I don't know to what extent it was drunk in Japan. I mean, everybody says it came in the Kamakura period with Zen from China. But tea, it goes back at least as far as the Tang Dynasty. But in the Tang Dynasty, they made it into bricks. And it's like a brick, and I guess you pull it apart like the bole, the cha bing, right? They're very expensive. Then they come from, actually not too far from where Philip's ancestors come from, in South China. And it's called, I've had those. And like somebody will tell you that, like this is like $2,000, you know, bole, brick tea. But then later on in the Ming Dynasty, they started to just steep the leaves. And that's called sencha. And that was introduced into Japan also by a school of Zen, the Obaku school of Zen, that came in at the transition between the Ming and Qing Dynasty and the early Tokugawa period. So there's been like 3 different ways that tea was made: brick, powdered, and then just leaf, which is the modern way. And at least the two of those ways were introduced by different streams of Zen that came into Japan. There's no problem with the stimulant if the choice is the Zen lurch and the keisaku beating. So, you know, the alternative is, well, a little stimulant. No, in fact, when sometimes business magazines like Fast Company, you know, and whatever, they do stories on Green Mountain mindfulness program, my program, and the slant they always use is, "Isn't this where a coffee company is teaching tranquility? How strange is that?" kind of thing. When I think of meditation, yeah, there's a tranquility component, but there's also a clarity alertness component. You know, and then some people get jangly if they drink stimulants, so of course that's not good in that case. But that doesn't seem to happen to me, so it works out. I've never closely researched the history, but I've heard sort of anecdotally that coffee fulfilled the same role in the Islamic Sufi meditative tradition as the macha did for the Zen, but I'd have to look that up, see if that's really true. Okay.